radiance, or literally, the shining of the face. The shining of the face. Throughout Scripture, particularly in the Psalms, we hear the people of God seeking to see the shining of God's face. It's believed that in worship over the centuries, as people have gathered to pray, sing, proclaim the word together, that a goal has been to see the shining face of God and to leave the worship experience glowing in that radiance, so that the light is then shared with the whole community and the world. Radiance, the shining of the face. You'll see, you don't get to see as the little ones did. The little tiny baby Jesus here, really the little tiny Bolivian baby Jesus, I just love it. The big brown eyes and the round face and the halo around him. The children didn't seem to be so aware of the halo effect, we might call it, around the head of Jesus. But surely you have seen in paintings or in nativities the halo or the glow. The art exhibit we've had for the last month during Advent, still up to date, from Marcia Duck-Steer with the wise men as well as the large painting of Jesus and Mary. Both Jesus and Mary had this shining bright light surrounding their heads. It is believed that when the wise men visited Jesus, something happened. It wasn't just a visit to a baby, but that when they arrived, they saw and experienced something that confirmed what they believed to be true, that Jesus was the child of God, that Jesus was the Messiah. It's believed that this radiance, this glow, this shining of the face happened during that visit. The wise men, or the Magi, were believed to be seekers of truth. Truth with a capital T. Now, all kinds of people seek all kinds of things, and we have various characters in our story today who were seekers of different things. We have King Herod, and there aren't too many, if any, positive stories about King Herod in Scripture. King Herod sought what was best for him. King Herod was out for himself. It's believed that the chief priests and the scribes, the teachers of the law, it's believed that they sought, first and foremost, knowledge. They wanted to know. They wanted to understand. Whereas the wise men were seekers of truth. And they weren't necessarily seekers of truth within one particular religious tradition, or really limiting or constraining the truth in any way. They were scientists, they were astrologers, it's believed. The wise men were believed to be very wise, I suppose that's obvious, and educated and wealthy. They sought truth with a capital T. They were educated enough to know that many different people sought truth in different places and in different ways, and the Jews were just one of those many different kinds of people who believed that God would be made known through a son, through the Messiah, as the prophets had proclaimed. The wise men didn't know if that is indeed the way truth would be made known one day. But as the wise men began to put together the star, planets, humans, divine activity, and all seemed to point to this star and where it would lead them. The wise men sought divine intervention and believed it would happen, and they wanted to be there when it did happen. They were alert and paying attention, which is why they saw that star and chose to follow it. Most of us would love a little divine intervention every once in a while. And even better if the divine intervention came with something glowing, right? Because then it would be really obvious. If we found something that was shining and radiant, it might be perfectly clear to us that this is God speaking. Most of us can say that's not the way it happens most of the time. We have to pray and we have to discern and we have to be very, very attentive to what's happening around us, or we just might miss what God is putting in our path. Perhaps we haven't seen shining, glowing things, but wouldn't it be nice? But we are a people that seek divine intervention in our lives. There's a story about a little girl whose mother was expecting a baby. And the little girl had decided that the baby should be named Sylvia. She loved the name Sylvia. So after a long time of telling her mother, the baby will be Sylvia, I know my sister's going to be Sylvia, her mother, who didn't like that name at all, said, well, actually, sweetie, this is how it works when you name a baby. You see, as the time gets closer, Jesus will whisper in my ear what the baby's name is going to be. So the little girl thought about that. And not long after, a few days after that, the little girl came up to her mother, rushed up and said, Mom, Jesus whispered it in my ear. It's Sylvia. We'll do whatever it takes sometimes to have God's intervention come right at the time when our desires need to be made known. We want God to rubber stamp all kinds of things that we would like to make happen, including the naming of a baby, so that it can all seem like the perfect plan. And there are other times when we sure wish God would make things known more clearly. When we're at a block in the road and we don't know which way to go, when there's a decision we have to make and there does not seem to be an obvious choice, and we sure wish there was something glowing and radiant in front of us that would tell us what to do. But there are epiphanies that I believe we continue to have, where there's a radiance and a glow that comes from what is produced. But indeed, it takes being like wise men and paying close attention. How do we use the word epiphany today? What does it mean to have an epiphany? This morning in the early service, a little boy said, I've heard that word before. He's 5. And I